everybody, here we are. We are at Oulton Park. This is the race after Bathurst. Bathurst was a pretty dramatic show put on by these guys, pretty intense. And now here we are at another complicated, very technical track. Oulton Park has proven to be quite a challenge. Most of these guys are up for the challenge, I believe, but there has been a lot of hairy moments between different drivers during practice and in the practice races. Quite a few off-track incidents, things like that. So we're looking at a really difficult track. If you've never raced Oulton Park, it kind of never lets you breathe. There's not really any part of the track where you can ever take a breath and oh, this is the easy part. There is not really any easy part, from the really complicated triple chicane to the just before that, the single banked curve. There's only one banked curve on the entire track, to the uphill section where the track gets really narrow and it's pretty much impossible to pass in that part of the track. It just offers it's if you love driving, it offers a really awesome challenge because it gives you a little bit of everything, and that's what I love about this track. I think I mentioned last week that this is my favorite track. But some of the guys do not feel the same way I feel. Some of the guys really don't like this track, and they have had some struggles here, which is understandable because it is a very technical track, and when you're pushing the limits as far as speed, you have very little room for error here, which this is 2 weeks in a row. You know, last week Bathurst was, if you've ever driven Bathurst, there is not much room for error there either. So these guys are gonna, I think after this week, kind of breathe a sigh of relief. Those two races will be in the books and over with, and we can move on to some of the less dangerous tracks, I guess. They're still racing. There's still always, complicated corners, and anything can happen at any time, but these two tracks back to back, I think, put an extra challenge on everyone. So you see the guys getting warmed up, coming around here for the start of the race. We are currently watching Mike Doherty. So our running order for tonight is Mike Wojcik, Mike Doherty, Ken North, John Snow, Jay Vroman, Stefan Buckley, Andre Marchishin, Jonathan Bryan, Jesse Albert, David Macedo, Kyle Macedo, Evan Miller, Ben Wolf, Lorenzo Liu, Nick Driveman, Logan Wolf, Joe Marsiglia, Scott Taylor, Samuel Rock, DJ Young, Jamie Morrison, and Johnson Liu. So as you can see, we've got a nice full field tonight. This is the biggest field we've ever had in one of our points races, in any of our races at this league at CSRL. This is officially our biggest starting grid. So hopefully we'll have a good clean race, and some guys will get some good racing in, some good competition, and some good battles going on. You see everybody starting to form up a little bit here. We are going to switch to there's a little bit of an obstruction from the trees from this helicopter view at the start, but we're still going to try to do it. You see Doherty jumping out in front there. He's kind of running away with it, not sure what he's doing there. Wojcik holding back, but he's out in front as well. So is Ken North, and there's the start of the race. That start was all messed up. John Snow and Jay Vroman stayed behind. You see a little bump there from Snow and Broman. So you have a drive-through penalty for Wojciech, Doherty, and Ken North. So the top three all penalized right off the start for jumping the start. Not really sure what happened there, but yeah, that's not how these guys wanted to start off this race. So a drive-through penalty for the top three is going to give some other people a chance to run up in the front here once they serve these penalties. You see Doherty in the lead, Wojciech behind him, Ken North behind him. Let's take a look back through the field. We got a car facing the wrong way here. Let's see what happened. You see Stephon Buckley there. He's coming out. You see how tightly packed everybody is. This is really close racing. Buckley coming around. Jesse makes a move to the inside and they make contact. Buckley ends up spun around off the track and then comes back onto the track and makes contact with a couple of cars. You see it's quite a mess there. So that's not what we want to see. We knew this track was difficult. We knew it was going to be, I don't want to say some action because that kind of understates what I'm trying to say, but we knew there might be some carnage here because this is a very difficult track. It's a very narrow track. A lot of these guys were really, really fast, but even some of the fastest guys had some times where they were off the track, which some of the guys that normally are never off the track spent quite a bit of time in the grass this week while prepping for this race, because it's the kind of track that sneaks up on you. There's certain parts, certain turns that can really get you. You take it great 3 times, but on that 4th time, it gets you. So you see Doherty there. I don't know what happened to Mike. He was in the lead. Maybe trying to serve that drive-through and just he just missed the pit entrance. That's going to give Wojciech the lead, and Ken North and Roman and John Snow are all going to get past him. So that's going to put him back in about 6th place for Doherty. So you know, Wojciech is out front right now, but you know, he's got to serve that drive-through. So does Ken. So really what we're looking at here is we're looking at Jay Vroman, who is listed in 3rd place right now, and John Snow. These guys are effectively battling for the lead right now, because the guys in front of them are going to be pulling off the track. So let's take a look back through the field. We've got battles going on everywhere. We got Jonathan Bryan here, followed by Kyle Macedo. Let's see, Andre. Andre is just in front of Lorenzo Liu there. You see Lorenzo's close on him, and he's close behind Logan Wolf. So he's pressuring Logan there. Let's see who else. Nick Driveman trying to keep the pressure on Ben Wolf. Meanwhile, he's being pressured himself by Johnson Liu. See Johnson there in the Porsche. And after that, things get a little bit more spread out. Let's take a look back up towards the front. Okay, so Ken North is in the pits. He's serving his drive-through penalty. And so is Mike Doherty. So both of these guys are coming in, taking the drive-through. Just going to make the best of it after an unfortunate start. Not really sure what led to the chaos at the starting line, but it's definitely going to put a damper on their race for now. See what these guys can do, and we'll also check and see what position they came out in, how much positions they lost. You see right now it's showing Doherty, okay, it just dropped him down. It's showing Doherty in 11th place, and it's showing Ken in 10th place. So that's the current or wait, excuse me. No. Doherty is in 14th place. Ken is in 12th place. So that's the repercussions for jumping the start. Meanwhile, Wojcik is still out in front. He's got to pit, I think, this lap. I think you only get 3 laps to serve a drive-through, so I think he has to pit this lap. I don't think he has a choice. We'll take a look and just see here. You see Vroman and Snow behind him back there. Yeah, here comes Wojcik into the pit, so that's going to give the lead to Vroman. Vroman sporting a new paint scheme. It is a paint scheme. I think it's called Infinite Godhead. I apologize, Jay, if I got that wrong. But it's really, really cool, extremely detailed. We won't be able, there's a good shot of it right there. You can get a good look at it. We're not going to take the time to zoom in on everybody's cars and rotate around them and drool over the paint schemes, but some really good ones this season. Everybody using the ability to have the custom liveries. So you see Jay there's buying that art is from an artist named Alex Gray. So that is where it came from, and he is, I think, most well known for doing album covers for the band Tool. So that's pretty awesome if you listen to rock music, which I definitely have for a long time. It's really cool that we got a guy representing, two guys representing rock bands in a way in our league, because we have Pedro in the Megadeth car also. So pretty neat there. You see Vroman trying to put a gap on Jon Snow. It's right now, it's right about a second. And then in third place, we've got Jesse Albert. He's about 3.7 seconds behind these guys. Fourth place is Jonathan Bryan. He's having a really good race so far. Kyle Macedo is all the way up in fifth place. I think Kyle started fairly far back in the field. I'm not sure. I didn't pay attention to what position he started in, but he's all the way up to fifth now. So he's looking pretty good. You got, let's see here, Evan Miller running in seventh place right now. You see Joe Marsiglia there, but Joe is not racing Evan for position right now. Meanwhile, you see Logan Wolf and Andre Marchishin in a tight battle, followed closely by Mike Doherty. So those guys, Doherty was really, really fast. You see Wolf get off the track there. That's going to give Doherty the position. Now he's on to Marchishin. Doherty was extremely fast around this track all week long, especially tonight. He really took it to another level tonight, so showed a ton of speed. So he's going to probably be picking these guys off all race, just kind of making his way through the field. And we expect to see the same thing from Wojcik and Ken North also. You see Wojcik, speaking of him, he is in fifth place. So even after that drive-through penalty, he is still top 5 right now. He's 4 positions ahead of Doherty, and he is 10 positions ahead of Ken North. So he's pulled quite a gap on those guys, recovering pretty well from that initial penalty. We've seen Mike Wojcik recover from an incident, a mistake once before at Kyalami. He had a really bad accident and managed to finish third after passing several people and having to repair the damage on his car. So he's really, really fast, and we expect to see him, chasing people down the rest of the race. So let's take a look back here with these guys. They're having a pretty good battle right now. good battles all over the place right now. You got Lorenzo following Logan Wolf there. Good racing between these guys. You see Evan Miller behind them. And then behind Evan, we've got some really close battles. We've got, let's see. We got Ben Wolf. Now, for some reason, or no, that's not. That's not. Or no, it is Ken North. It is Ken North. He was being shown in the wrong position. So Ken is all over Ben Wolf trying to get his way around him here. You see him make a move to the inside. Not going to be able to make it stick, doesn't look like. Although he's side by side, he got through there better than it looked. And now it's a drag race coming up the hill here. And Ken's going to pull it off. Good racing by Ken. I didn't think that was going to, excuse me, I didn't think that was going to work. It looked like it was a little risky there, but he was able to make it stick. So good racing by Ken. Let's see what else we've got. We got Johnson Lou here. He's all over Ben Wolf. So Ben maybe losing a little bit of pace. Just needs to settle into his race. He's trying to hold on to this position, but these guys are both running him down pretty hard. You see Johnson going around the outside on that carousel turn and actually makes the pass. That's pretty ballsy. That's a pretty bold move. I didn't expect to see much of that kind of stuff tonight, but that was a great move. I mean, he did it cleanly and did a good job with it, so good for him. So that's going to give Johnson 14th place, and you see him getting a little bit loose there. Let's take a look back up towards the front. So we got Marchishin here still trying to stay ahead of Doherty. Andre had a lot of speed here all week, especially as the race went on. He seemed to get faster as the race went on and was pressuring and passing people. In one of our practice races on Wednesday, he passed a lot of cars in that race. He kind of figured some things out and made some really great moves, made a lot of headway on people. So we'll keep an eye on him throughout the race. Still not used to seeing him driving that Mercedes. He was in the Aston last season. That's when I think of Andre, I think of that Aston Martin. I don't think of the Mercedes yet, but hopefully that'll change here soon. You see Doherty getting really close to him there through the carousel, coming down to this triple chicane. This turn is a really tough turn. You got a left, right, and then back left as you go up the hill. It's really easy to lose it on the second two turns right there, because the first turn disrupts the car, and then the second two turns, the second and third turn, they're quick. You have to be fast through there, but the car likes to get really, really loose depending on your setup and tire pressures and things like that. It can be pretty hairy getting through there. You see these guys really carrying some good speed over here on the back stretch of the track. This long sweeping right-hander and then down the straight into the final couple of turns. And up ahead of these guys, we got Mike Wojcik, who is all over Jonathan Bryan. Oh, and a little bit of contact there. Just gets a piece of Jonathan Bryan. Let's take another look at that. Jonathan hits the bumper right there, gets off the track and gets a little loose, I think. And Wojcik couldn't hold on to it, couldn't keep out of it. Just a little tap. But with his car being loose, that's all it took to take Bryan off the track. So that's unfortunate there. Wojcik is now in 4th place, and he's hunting down Jesse Albert. So you see him making good headway on Albert. Now Jesse, he's a really fast driver in his own right, but Wojcik is kind of become the resident burner. He's kind of the fastest guy in the league right now, and we've seen him dominate a couple of races, and it's not the guy you want to see in your rear view. that's for sure, because he is really, really fast in that BMW. So you see Jesse in the Lexus there gets a little bit loose. Alright, let's take a look up towards the... Uh-oh. We missed something. Jon Snow is now in the lead of the race, ahead of Jay Vroman. Now, I would go back and see where that happened, but it might have been a few laps ago, because I've been so busy watching everybody else, I wasn't paying attention. He's 5.3 seconds behind, so it must have been an off track, or maybe he had to save the car. I don't see any damage on Vroman's car. You see him sliding through the turn there, maybe struggling with the car a little bit. You know, Jay hasn't been with us this season as much as he was last season, so maybe shaking off a little bit of rust too. Still getting used to the Lexus. That's a new car for him too. A lot of guys in new cars this season, and that, you know, in a sim like ACC, you know, every car is so unique. Changing cars is not an easy thing to do. Every car has so many little negatives and positives that you have to learn. Things you could do in one car you can't do in the other car. So it's really it's quite a learning process to get it hammered down. And then by the time you finally get it perfected, you usually want to switch to another car and try something new, and you have to learn it all over again. So no doubt what these guys are doing coming into this season, wanting to try something new. So you see Jesse still trying to hold off Wojcik. You see Vroman up ahead there. He is 2.2 seconds ahead of Jesse. Vroman is, and he's got Wojcik about 0.3 seconds behind him. So Wojcik really keeping the pressure on him. Whoa, you see Jesse get a little loose there. Manages to hold on to it, but he allowed Wojcik to maybe take a look. No, Wojcik backed out of it. That little mistake there almost gave the position to Wojcik. He's just waiting for anything he can take advantage of right now. Alright, so we'll try to keep a close eye on this while also checking through the field. We've got Mike Doherty, who is still right behind Andre Marchishin, so no movement with those guys there. Kyle Macedo, he's having a really good race. Where is Kyle Macedo? He is off the track. Okay, so Kyle Macedo was having a really good race. Not sure what happened there. It's kind of how this track goes. Everything goes a-okay for a few laps, and then you make one mistake, and that can be the end of your race. So you see Wojcik looking around the outside this time, coming into this really high-speed braking zone. Jesse's going to hold the position for now. Now Wojcik, he's got to be mindful of the fact that Jon Snow is out in front, and Jay Vroman, so from John to Jay is 7.2 seconds. From Jay to Jesse is 3.4 seconds. So it's over 10 seconds behind the leader. So the longer that Wojcik is stuck behind Jesse Albert, the more potential there is for Jon Snow and Jay Vroman to run away with this thing. You see Jay has opened up a little bit of a gap on Jesse also. It's up to 7 seconds now. Tough battling from these guys. See, Doherty is really close on Marchician right now. Some good battles throughout the field. You look at this one right here. You got Jonathan Bryan, who had that incident earlier. He's got quite a bit of damage on that car. Just trying to hold on till his pit stop, no doubt. And he is currently running in 9th place, but I don't know if he has the pace to stay ahead of these guys who don't have so much damage. He might have a hard time keeping in front of these guys. You see them all kind of bearing down on him here. You see how close the racing is between Evan Miller and Johnson Liu. These guys are, as I say that, Johnson makes the inside move. So does Ken North on Evan Miller there. Let's take a look at the on-board on that. Not sure what happened to Evan. So we're coming through the sweeping right-hander, coming down this long straight here into a hard braking zone. You see Johnson just takes a look to the inside and makes it stick around the inside. And Evan got a little loose there. Didn't see any contact or anything, but just ended up wide in the turn and gave up the position. And now Johnson is catching up to Jonathan Bryan, who is still trying to hold on with that damage on his car. You see Ken North also got past Evan there, so Ken is now in 11th place. So some shuffling going on back here in the field. Back here we've got DJ Young and David Macedo. These guys are running close together right now. This is the battle for 16th. So the battle for 16th place. The good thing about league racing is in most cases there's always somebody who's around your same skill level. So you always have at least a couple of guys you can have some intense racing with. So even if you're not challenging for wins every week, you can still have some really great racing and have a lot of fun, regardless of where you are. Let's check back on this battle. Uh-oh. Okay, so that pass finally got made. Let's see how that happened. So Jesse, he held him off for a few laps, really battling with Wojcik, trying to hold him off. Wojcik just has faster pace. I mean, he's just quicker. You see Jay's off the track there. Oh, Jesse ends up off the track, able to save the car, but loses the position. And Jay was off the track also. And so here we got Wojcik between two Lexus, and he is he's faster than both of them. So I don't know how. I mean, we know both of these guys are really fast, and they have that extra gear that they can find. But I don't know if this is the track for that. I don't know if they're as comfortable here as they are at some other tracks. Let's keep an eye on Wojcik. See, he's up 3rd place now. So Wojcik looking around the outside on the carousel there. I don't know if that's going to work. And he almost loses the position to Jesse, who gets up alongside him for a second, but he's able to hold on to it. So I don't know if that's going to work around the outside of the carousel. We saw it once already in this race, but I don't know if that's something you can regularly do and have good results. So Jay holding on. Meanwhile, John, he's all by himself up here. He's, I mean, how often have we seen that where John Snow ends up way out in the front of the race? We've seen that many, many times. He dominated the second half of last season pretty heavily, and he unfortunately he didn't get as much screen time as he did when he was not doing as well, because when you get way out in the front by yourself, you usually don't get as much screen time because there's nothing to show. Just showing a fast car go around the track by itself, that's not as fun as watching some of these battles that are going on throughout the pack here. So you see Wojcik. Oh, Jay gets loose, almost loses it. I don't know if he kept it out of the wall. It looks like he might have tapped the wall. Looks like he's got a little bit of damage on the car there. So good save by him. That could have been a really bad accident, but he was able to hold on to it. So that's going to give Wojcik second place. So even after serving the drive-through penalty, he is up into second. He's got Jesse behind him in third. And now he is 10.2 seconds behind Jon Snow with 14 laps in the books. So 10.2 seconds. Let's take a look back through the field here. Looking at the time splits, everybody has spread out a little bit. There's not as many close battles going on as there was before. Take a look at our leader for a minute here. Let's ride on board with John. John, steady as always. He is the kind of driver that absolutely kills you with consistency. I mean, the smooth. Oh, as I say that, he almost loses it right there. But the smooth inputs, you know, his steering wheel never moves that fast. It's always nice and smooth and steady. Same thing with his throttle input, brake input. He's figured out how to be faster with seemingly higher traction control than a lot of these guys run. When you're riding on board with John, sometimes you'll hear the traction control kick in and actually cut the power down to the car, but somehow he manages to be really, really fast with, I don't know how much higher, it might only be a notch higher, but I know he does run a little more than some of these guys. So he's figured out something with his tuning setup where he can do that and still have a lot of speed. So you see somebody up in front of him there. Not sure who that is. It looked like it might have been DJ Young, possibly, in Porsche. So it might be him that he's catching up to there. So a little bit of lap traffic he's got to deal with. Let's take a look back at... Yeah, he's pulled away from Jesse a little bit. It's about 1.6 seconds, so it's not a big gap yet. But he definitely had the pace to catch and pass Jesse, so I don't know. Jesse is just going to have to stay consistent and hope for a mistake there, it looks like. So Jay, meanwhile, he's still holding strong in fourth place right now. We got Andre, and Andre has lost Mike Doherty. We were so busy looking at everybody else, we missed that. Doherty is all the way back to 12th place right now. So not sure what happened to Mike, but he's falling back a little bit. He was right on Marchician before. See, these guys are spread out. We got Lorenzo, he's coming into pit. We got Johnson Lou, Evan Miller. So everybody's kind of spaced out right now. At some point here, we'll go through the whole running order. Maybe we'll do it right now. There's not really anything going on. So we're going to look at Jon Snow. He's in first. Mike Wojcik running in second. Take a look at him. He's pulling that gap open on Jesse as we speak. That's widening out. Yeah, he's got it up to 2.2 seconds now. So he's pulling away from Jesse. There's Jesse in the Lexus. Jake Roman in fourth. He's in the Lexus also. Andre Marchician, you see him, he's 3.8 seconds behind Jay. Johnson Lou in sixth. He is 3.4 seconds ahead of the guy behind him, which is Evan Miller. So he's got a little breathing room. You see Evan climbing the hill there. And then behind him is Ben Wolf, who is dealing with, I believe, some lap traffic. I think that's lap traffic he's passing right now. I don't think that's for position. Then we got Nick Driveman. I don't know if we've mentioned Nick's name. You see a decent amount of damage on that McLaren. I don't know what happened to Nick so far. He's up in the top 10, but he's got a decent amount of damage on that car. And you see Doherty has caught him. So Doherty, you see Nick run a little wide there, and Doherty's going to get the position from him. And Nick's coming into the pit, so that might have been all strategic right there, just letting Doherty go. Then after that, we've got David Macedo. We know David's not pitting. He always pits really late. Oh, and you see Jay Vroman just got a 30-second stop and go penalty. We got two other guys on the board that have drive-through penalties. So some struggles in the pits, looks like, from some of these guys. Maybe speeding in pit lane, that's most likely what it is. So, let's see, where were we at? We left off with Ken North. So Ken is currently running in 12th. He is behind, I'm not sure who that is, but it's not for position. There's a couple of BMWs that have that same main scheme. Okay, it's not Jamie. It was Logan Wolf. So, all right. So then after that, we've got Lorenzo Liu. He's in the Bentley, running in 12th place right now. Nick Driveman, we were already showing him. He's in 13th. Jamie Morrison in 14th. And this is where things start getting really spaced out in the back half of the pack back here. Samuel Rock, he's in 15th. DJ Young running in 16th. Logan Wolf in 17th. Joe Marsiglia in 18th. And a custom Ferrari. And then Jonathan Bryan, he had a disconnect. He actually got disconnected from the server, so he ended up out of the server for a while, so that's why he's in the pits. So some technical difficulties there kind of ruined his race for him. So see Wojcik still in front of Jesse. He's got the gap up to, let's see if the time will pop up. 7.5 seconds, so he's kind of running away with it right now. So you see John currently in 4th. He's already pitted. So that gave Wojcik the lead. See what happened. Okay, Jesse's in the pit right now, and looks like he's having some kind of an issue. He's just kind of creeping through the pit lane. I'm not sure what's going on there. So that's going to move Andre up to 2nd place. He still hasn't pitted. Wojcik still hasn't pitted. I think we might have missed something here because John was in 1st place. He pitted. I'm trying to think of how long the pit stop would have been. Whether or not that would give him. He's quite a ways behind. I'm trying to figure out what happened there. So we got Doherty. He's all the way up to 5th now. So Doherty, as per usual, is finding his way to the front, despite a few mistakes throughout the race that could have cost him quite a bit. He's up into the top 5. Now he may, move back down when he has to pit and everything like that, but Still, we're used to seeing Mike in the front. We're used to seeing him up there with the leaders. So you see David Macedo is running in 7th in front of Ken North. That's one position battle that's going really strong right now. You see David runs a little wide there. Going to lose the position to Ken, but he keeps the car out of harm's way. And you see Jesse coming behind him. That's actually 4th position. Jesse is actually in 9th place behind these guys, so he's coming with a head of steam, catching up to David Macedo. We'll try to keep an eye on that. So let's see if Wojcik pits this lap. So Wojcik, he is not going to pit. So let's take a look at Marchishin if he pits. Yes, he's pitting. So take a look at Doherty. Oh, Doherty is nowhere near the pit right now. He's quite a ways away from these guys. So. Okay, so we got Ken North in 4th place right now. David Macedo in 5th. Jesse Albert bearing down on him in 6th place. You see John Snow behind Albert back there. So these faster drivers are catching these guys. Going to make for some very interesting action here in a few minutes. Meanwhile, Wojcik, where is he at on the track? He's climbing the hill right now. So Wojcik, see if he pits up. Somebody's off the track right there. See if Wojcik pits this lap. He is not going to pit, so he's going to stay out. So we've got Wojcik. Doherty is all the way up into 2nd now. Marchishin's in 3rd. He's followed closely by Ken North. You see David Macedo get off the track there. That's going to give the position to Jesse Albert. So Albert is going to move up into 5th. And John Snow got past Macedo also. So Macedo's going to go from 5th to 7th. You see how narrow the margins are on this track. You make one little mistake and it can cost you multiple positions. It is, despite being extremely technical and complex, it is still a very fast racetrack, so you can lose time in a hurry here. So you see John, he looks like I haven't been checking the splits, but he looks like he's gaining on Albert. So keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, Jesse is still 1.5 off of Ken North. I would like to see what the gap is from Doherty to Wojcik, but I haven't seen it pop up. Let's take a look at where they're at on the track. So Doherty is on the carousel, which is on the front quarter of the track or so. Wojcik is... he's not far behind him. So Wojcik still hasn't pitted. So he is not a huge amount of space behind Wojcik. Or, I mean, behind Doherty. So Marchician is in third, John Snow is in sixth, Jesse Albert's in fifth, Ken North is in fourth, David Macedo is in seventh. Sorry, I'm skipping around. I'm just trying to get a mental picture in my head of who is where. Take a look here. Wojcik still hasn't pitted. Looks like he's going to pit this lap. Yeah, here he comes. So he's coming into the pits. Now he's got a substantial lead on these guys. Yeah, he's way out ahead. So I'm being told that John Snow, the reason he is in sixth place right now, and the reason he is not challenging for the lead is he didn't take fuel on his initial pit stop and he had to pit a second time. So that's what happened to John. He was out in the lead, had to pit twice, and that is why he's back right now in sixth place, challenging Ken North for fifth. You see Jesse finally got around Ken, and now Jesse is trying to hunt down Marchician. David Macedo, he's falling back off of these guys. He was right with them a little bit ago, but he's falling back. And he's got Johnson Lou bearing down on him. And you see, that's Wojcik. Wojcik is currently catching up to, let's see, that would be 7th, 8th place, 7th, 8th, and 9th place that Wojcik is catching up to, and going to be soon attempting to put a lap down. So he is way out in the lead right now. We're 24 laps in the books. He would have to make a pretty epic mistake to lose this thing, it looks like, because the time split won't seem to pop up for Doherty. So we know Doherty's in second, but it's not popping up. And what that usually means is the gap is somewhere over a half of a lap. So by the time the time would have popped up, Doherty moves back to one lap down because Wojcik crosses the line. So the time never shows up because they're kind of in a limbo where the gap is just large enough that when it would have popped up, then it becomes a lap down again. So then it just shows, like it does right now, one lap. So you see Wojcik, he's over here past the carousel. Doherty is coming around across the front stretch. So that's why that's happening. So we don't know what the gap is from Doherty to Wojcik, but it's large. It's a very large gap. We know that. And then from Doherty to Marchician is 7.8 seconds. So Mike's got a pretty good gap on Andre. Jesse Albert, he's been hovering around 1.5 seconds off of Andre. Trying to make headway on that, but you see Ken North is 4.8 seconds behind, and John is 1.7 seconds behind Ken. So he's closing the gap on Ken. Ken has recovered nicely from, everybody has. All three of the guys who were in the front, who had that drive-through penalty for jumping the start, are now back in the top 5. Wojcik's leading the race, Doherty's in second, and Ken is in fifth. So it just shows, we preach at these guys a lot in this league. We try to make sure they race clean. We, talk about the fact that it's a marathon, not a sprint. And you can see, if you have pace, if you are fast, you will find your way to the front of the race, because it's such a long race. You know, we're 26 laps in. We've still got 12 laps to go. So there's a lot of things that can happen over the next 12 laps. So it kind of shuffles itself out. The faster drivers always end up in the front, and the slower drivers always end up in the back. And from my perspective, I'm just hoping that they all have battles that they can enjoy against one another. I hate for people to be left all alone on the track, because that's just not fun. So we're looking at Johnson Liu right now. He is, let's see, 0.8 seconds behind David Macedo, and you see Wojcik behind him. So Wojcik has gotten past Lorenzo Liu and Evan Miller, and is now hunting down 7th and 8th. So, oh, see somebody off the track there. Somebody having a little trouble. So a lot of these guys, you know, whoa, you see Johnson get loose right there. You know, David Macedo, he finished second in the points. He was 1 point behind. He was 1 point from being a champion last season. And, you know, he was in the Bentley and had that car pretty much dialed in where he was aggressively consistent. He hardly ever made mistakes. He actually had probably a higher average finish than anybody in the league. He was in the top 5 pretty much every single race, top 3 most of the time. So he was consistently in the front the entire season. But this season he has changed to, like so many guys, he's changed cars, and now he's kind of refinding the speed that he had in the Bentley. Now he's in the Aston, which we know the Aston can be really fast, because there were some really fast drivers in the Aston last season. You see Johnson get wide there. That's going to let Wojcik by, and that's going to give David Macedo some breathing room. Let's see if there's any battles going on. Yes, there are. John Snow has caught up to Ken North. You see DJ Young up in front of these guys here. So a close battle here between Ken North. Ken trying to hold on to a top 5. Oh, Ken ends up off the track there. That's going to cost him the position right there. So good move by him to let John go by instead of trying to dive back on the track. Now he's just got to see if he's got anything for him the rest of the race. So that's going to put John up into the top 5. John is 5.9 seconds behind Jesse Albert. So he's got some work to do to catch up to Albert, who is running in 4th. Andre, he is 3.5 seconds in front of Jesse Albert, and he's 6.5 seconds behind Mike Doherty, so he's a little bit of a gap. There's not really anybody right around him right now, and he's having a great race. Andre is having a really great race to be in the top 3. He had a close call really early in this race. I think it was the second turn of the race. He ended up off the track a little bit and almost lost it, was able to save it, and now here he is running the top 3. So you see some of these guys run over that first curve really heavily right there in the first turn of the triple chicane, but other guys avoid it completely. Like, it's just a difference in car setup. You have to have your suspension set up differently and things like that to be able to do that lap after lap after lap. But from practice to Wednesday's practice races and now tonight, Andre, he's been clipping that thing pretty much consistently the entire week. So that he got his car set up properly so he could get away with that. So let's see. Jesse is 3.2 seconds. with Marchician. You see him back there. John is still 5.8 off of Jesse Albert. John has already pulled a 2.2 second gap on Ken North. So Ken may be dealing with his tires falling off a little bit, has lost a little bit of pace, it seems like. But he's still, I think he's, let's see what the gap is from him to David Macedo. I think it's a pretty wide gap. Hoping it would pop up, but it's not popping up. So we see Johnson, he's running in 8th place right now. He's 2.7 seconds off of David Macedo. So he was all over him for a while there, and then he ended up off the track, and now he's trying to make that gap up again. For some reason, David's time is not popping up. It just won't. There it is. Okay, so okay. So David is 28.6 seconds behind Ken North. So Ken is not under any pressure from behind. So it's just a matter of, can he catch up to John Snow or any of these other guys up here to get a higher finishing position. So you see John, he's shaved off about a half second. It's down to 5.4 seconds to Jesse Albert. Jesse is 3.7 behind Marchician. And you see Marchician is 5.5 behind Doherty. One other battle going on back here. We got Ben Wolf, who's 1.8 seconds behind Evan Miller. And that is, I think that's Nick Driveman behind him. Yeah, it is. So Driveman, he got past Jamie Morrison somehow. Jamie, for some reason it's showing Jamie in between. Oh, it's because, okay, there's a lap difference. Okay, that's why. Okay, so there's quite a bit of laps separating these guys towards the back here. We're 31 laps into the race. It's kind of how it goes with these long races. If you make a couple of mistakes, you end up quite a ways behind, and if you run a really nice race, you end up quite a ways ahead. And you know, consistency is king. That kind of rules the day. So the top 5, well, the top 6 have all been really consistent. Actually, all these guys in the top 10 have been really consistent. But you know, if it wasn't for the second pit stop that he had to make, he's probably right with or in front of Mike Doherty. I don't know if he would still be in front of Wojcik or not, but he would be up there in the front. So we've seen, you know, we saw a few guys get off the track, have some off-track moments, and you see how much that hurts the finishing position on a track like this in a long race. You know, you make a couple of mistakes and it costs you an awful lot of time and it costs you positions. So I think a lot of these guys will be really happy that this race is behind them. Even the guys who are doing well. I know for a fact Mike Doherty, he was one of the ones talking about he did not like this track, you know, didn't like it, but he's still really fast around it, but it doesn't mean he has to like it. So he'll no doubt be happy to be moving on to something else. Next week we have Zandvoort, so that's a track that I have actually never ran on before. So I'm hoping to get some actual track time this week. so that I can kind of get the layout down, so that I can properly call the race. Something like Oulton Park is extremely easy to call the race because I know every inch of this track. I've run hundreds and hundreds of laps around this track, maybe 1,000 laps around this track. I've been racing it for years. So this track is really easy to call the race because no matter where they are, I know exactly where the car is. Something like a new track that you've never ran on, you've never watched on replay, you've never watched a real life race on TV there, that is a pretty challenging prospect, trying to call the race when you don't know what you're looking at. So part of my preparation every week is trying to learn these tracks, run the track as much as I can myself in my spare time, and then watch these guys while they practice and race and try to learn what is where so that I can do a good job calling the race. So anyway, nobody cares about that. So let's see here. Oh wow, Jon Snow has caught Jesse. He caught him fast. There must have been some kind of mistake made by Jesse because Snow wasn't that close, I don't think. I think he was still about 3 seconds or more behind. So now he's only 0.8 seconds. So he's going to be all over Albert here in a minute because he was closing on him slowly. Now he's going to have an opportunity to really put the pressure on him. There is only one other battle going on the track. So we've got this battle here between Jon Snow. You see Jesse moving to the inside there on this long straight. Interesting move there. I don't know if he was trying to break the slipstream or what he was trying to do right there, but kind of running off the line, but still able to make the turn just fine. So see the difference in driving style. Let's take a look at that one more time. You got Albert, who catches the curb coming through here aggressively, and then you got Jon, who avoids it completely. And that pretty much sums up the difference in their driving styles. Jesse is very aggressive and more of an attacking style driver, and Jon is very consistent and steady, and he beats you with 10 great laps instead of one really good one. He's going to beat you with consistency. So we saw Jon last season at Zolder. There were so many people crashing on the first chicane. There were so many races ruined on the first chicane throughout the week of practice and the practice races and everything else. And so when it came time for the actual race, Jon and I think David Macedo, I think both of those guys said, you know what, I'm going to snake through that first chicane. I'm not even going to touch the bumpers, and completely changed their approach to that turn. And they both had great races because they quit being quite so aggressive and were able to be much more consistent that way. So something, if you're a younger driver, that's something you can learn from, seeing some of these guys with a lot of experience making those savvy moves, little things that you maybe don't think about. You see everybody taking a turn the same exact way, so you just do what they do. But sometimes the alternative is going to pay off for you. It might help with your tire temperatures or your tire pressures, or it might help you not cut a tire, because you can cut a tire in most sims nowadays, especially in this one. So there's a lot of advantages to a more subtle approach. And as I'm yakking on, you see Jon is all over Jesse right now. Jesse, he's got a lot of speed, and we've seen him under attack by Wojcik earlier and now by Jon Snow. So he's usually the one doing the attacking. I don't know how used to defending he is. He doesn't really overly aggressively defend. We don't see him diving inside to block the inside every turn or anything like that. But we've seen some really close racing tonight. Hopefully we'll see a little bit more. Let's check on this other see if it's still going on here. We had Ben Wolf and Evan Miller. Oh, Evan got the better of that situation. He is now 3.5 seconds ahead of Ben Wolf. So that battle was going on before, but not anymore. Check back on these guys. Let's just check on our leaders. We got Wojciech way out in front, just dealing with lap traffic. That's the only thing he's got to worry about right now. He's way out ahead. So no pressure from behind. He would have to make a really big mistake to lose this race at this point. There's Doherty in second place. He is also, well, no, he's not. Now that I look at it, Marchission's got it down to 2.3 seconds. So Marchission has been gaining on him for a little while now. I see somebody off the track there in the Bentley. I believe that was Lorenzo Liu. He's able to recover it. He's trying to let the leaders go by is what he's trying to do. So we appreciate him doing that. So Marchission has got it down to 1.9 seconds now for Doherty. So he is actively catching him at a pretty good pace. So we need to keep an eye on this, and we need to keep an eye on the battle between Jesse Albert and John Snow. So two close battles in the top 5. And it's pretty amazing that John, you know, he had to pit twice and he had to take fuel the second time. The fact that he's still in 5th right now and challenging for 4th is pretty impressive. I mean, all of these guys. Wojciech had the drive-through penalty, so did Doherty. And then John had to pit twice. Ken North is in 6th, and he had a drive-through penalty at the beginning of the race. You see there, Jay has worked his way all the way back up to 8th place. Jay was down as low as 12th or 13th, I think, at one point, because of that stop-and-go 30-second penalty that he got, I think, from speeding in pit lane. So he's recovered nicely. He's all the way up in the top 10. He's 8.6 seconds ahead of Evan Miller. John, oh, see a car off the track there. Looks like Nick driving. I was just about to say that Jesse had kind of pulled away from John, but just as I'm about to say it, John's all over him again. So this battle continues to rage on, and I'm watching all these battles and yakking, and we are on the last lap of the race. So the race is coming down to the end here, so we're going to try to, we know Wojciech is way out in the lead, and we know Doherty is 2.3 seconds ahead of Marchission. That's not as close as this is between Albert and Snow. These guys are really close. So we want to catch the leaders crossing the line, but we also want to keep an eye on these battles that are going on, particularly this one. You see John really keeping the pressure on him. John is a very respectful driver. He's never going to make a desperate move that could take both of you out to make a pass. It's just not how he drives. But he's going to keep consistent pressure and see if you can hold up under it. And he's been doing that for several laps now, Jesse. So you see some lap traffic once again. These guys both get around it. Meanwhile, Wojciech has already finished the race. Doherty, coming through the final couple of turns here, he's going to come away with second. You see Marchission behind him, 2.4 seconds behind him. So there's Doherty, there's Marchission. He's going to come in third. Great race by all those guys. Oh, and John ended up off the track. It's not going to hurt him position-wise, but just maybe pushing hard for those last couple turns and just lost the back end of the car. Able to recover it. Luckily, he was well ahead of the next next guy behind him, so he doesn't have to worry about that. And then we've got Ken here coming in 6th place. Great finish by him, especially considering that drive-through penalty. Good recovery. And that's the end of it. So Johnson Lou ended up finishing in 7th. Great finish by him. Jay Vroman ended up in 8th. Great finish by him. Evan in 9th. Evan Miller, sorry. And Ben Wolf in 10th. So that's your top 10 there. We are going to do what we always do. And we're going to go back to the beginning of the race. We're not going to go back to that. But we are going to go back to the beginning of the race. Stop watching all this carnage. Alright, so we are going to ride on board with somebody. Well, the start got all messed up. So this race had a rough start, and there was some incidents in these first couple of laps. So this was probably the roughest race we've had as a league. We don't, we pride ourselves on being an extremely clean league, extremely cautious drivers, respectful drivers, but fast. Even with all that careful driving, these guys are still extremely fast. So we definitely don't discourage them from being quick. We just want them to be safe while they do it. So we're going to ride on board with Andre. You see the leaders are out ahead. They're off the starting mark. They're all going to get penalties. So Andre is here starting in 7th behind Jon Snow and Jay Vroman. So John and Jay, see a little bump between those two. Those guys are close friends. So little rubbing is racing between friends. You see Andre gets loose, almost lost the car there in the grass. Manages to hold on to it. Good save by him. Lucky to hold on to that one. So we're riding on board with him. He's in 7th place. Now you see how spread out everybody already is, even after the first few turns. But remember, the 3 guys out in front all have a drive-through penalty, so we're actually in 3rd, looking at 1st and 2nd up ahead. So of course, it would all shake out differently in the end, but that's how the race started. So, great race by these guys. Little more, maybe a little too much action from the viewpoint of a little too much contact between cars. We'll get that sorted out before next week and try to clean it up. We want to keep our reputation as a clean driving or a clean racing league, so we're going to keep that as clean as possible. And some good racing by these guys, really fast racing on a difficult track. I love it. I love this track, but I understand why guys don't. It's very, very challenging and unforgiving. So next week we're going to be at Zandvoort. You guys, if you want to see all the races, there's one race a week. It comes out on YouTube every week. Races are on Saturday night, so it's usually sometime early the following week when the broadcast comes out. So if you want to be notified of that or see it come up on your feed, just like and subscribe to the channel so you can get all of our races. And thanks a lot for watching. We'll catch you next week at Zandvoort.